The city buzzed with life, but in that fleeting moment, everything seemed to pause. A woman stood by the roadside, waiting anxiously for a bus. She raised her hand as one approached, but the driver didn't even slow down. The cold breeze brushed her cheeks, and a subtle frustration settled in her eyes. Just then, a taxi pulled up near the curb. The window rolled down, and a soft voice called out, "Madam, need a ride?"
She didn't hesitate.
"Yes, please take me home." The taxi driver leaned over and opened the door with a smile. "Hop in." She stepped inside, her expression weary but graceful. As the taxi rolled forward, the city lights flickered on the window glass. She sat in silence for a moment, then sighed deeply. "My husband. He doesn't care about me anymore." The driver glanced at her through the rearview mirror, his tone gentle. "Maybe he's lost in his own world. But you deserve better." That small exchange opened a quiet door between them. Their eyes met in the mirror, a soft, unexpected connection. He gave a subtle smile, and she looked away with a faint blush. She gave him directions to her home, and for a while, the car was filled only with the hum of the engine and the distant sounds of the city. But inside, something was changing. Her voice broke the silence again. "You know, sometimes I feel like I'm invisible in my own home." The driver's voice was calm. "You're far from invisible. I see you clearly." Her heart skipped a beat. They exchanged occasional glances through the mirror, soft, lingering, curious. A quiet chemistry was growing between them, like an unsaid promise in the air. As they neared her home, she turned and said softly, "Would you mind coming in for a while?" The driver hesitated only a second, then nodded. She stepped out first and unlocked the door. A moment later, he followed. The house was dimly lit, warm, inviting. There was a quiet intimacy in the air, like a space untouched by time. She turned to him. "Come, I'll be right back." He stood in the entryway, taking in the surroundings. Then she returned, now more relaxed. Her eyes locked with his. Neither of them said anything for a moment. They didn't need to. She stepped closer, her voice a whisper. "You've been so kind. It's been a long time since anyone made me feel seen." He gently reached for her hand.
She didn't pull away.
He stepped closer, brushing her hair behind her ear. "You deserve to be loved," he murmured. Their breaths mingled. She leaned in, and their lips met, soft, hesitant, then gradually deeper. It wasn't hurried. It was emotional, intimate, electric. He slowly began to unbutton her blouse, pausing each time, as if asking for permission with his eyes. She nodded slightly, her breath trembling. Each piece of clothing that fell to the floor brought them closer, not just physically but emotionally, two lonely souls finally colliding. They kissed again, this time with more passion, with a hunger they both had kept hidden for too long. The night was just beginning. In the dim, golden light of her bedroom, their silhouettes melted into one another. Their hearts beat in sync as soft music played in the background, though neither remembered turning it on. Time had slowed. The driver gently ran his fingers across her neck, sending shivers down her spine. She closed her eyes, whispering, "I've never felt this way before." He responded with a warm smile. "Neither have I." She traced her fingers over his chest, feeling the warmth of his skin. He leaned in and kissed her shoulder, his lips soft and deliberate. With each touch, they shed layers of loneliness. He unbuttoned his shirt, and she slowly slipped off hers. Their eyes didn't leave each other, not even for a second. There was desire, yes, but more than that, there was something pure, something needed. As they embraced on the bed, the world outside ceased to exist. Every kiss was slow, sensual, deliberate. Every caress was like poetry written on skin. "You make me feel alive," she whispered, her lips brushing against his ear. "You make me believe again," he replied. There was no rush, just two people exploring emotions they'd long forgotten. His hands moved gently over her body, learning its rhythm. Her breath grew shallow, her heart louder. They made love slowly, deeply, with an emotional intensity neither of them expected. Their bodies moved in harmony, like music that only they could hear. It was raw and beautiful. In the silence that followed, she lay in his arms, her head on his chest. "Could there be a place for you in my life?" she asked softly. He looked into her eyes. "You already made a place in mine." There were no expectations, no promises, just a deep, mutual understanding that whatever happened, this night had changed them forever. Outside, the city continued to hum. A car horn echoed faintly. But inside her home, inside that room, two strangers had found something rare. Not just desire, not just warmth, but meaning. And perhaps, in that fleeting night, they found a love that didn't need to last forever. It just needed to be real. She kissed his hand gently and said, "Thank you." He smiled, brushing her hair aside. "No, thank you for letting me see you." And in that quiet, shared silence, they both knew. Sometimes, all it takes is one night to remind you you're still alive.